You gotta have knowledge for life. You gotta have knowledge for life. You gotta have
just so blessed and honored to be here. Dayton Preparatory Academy. And my dear brother, Reverend Jerome McCoy, was absolutely right when he said that I can't wait to come back to Dayton. I've been here on many occasions. But the first thing I want to do is see my dear friend Cornel.
That's what he said.
When I met him 40 years ago. He's the same. He's one of the best human beings I've ever met in my life. And the older you get, the more you will appreciate what it means to meet somebody of integrity and honesty and dignity and decency. Now I'm going to save the bulk of my remarks for the dialogue. I want to engage these young brothers and sisters too, but we know this is the boys' academy. We come from a tradition, a great black tradition. But even when we begin with the brothers, we always embrace, learn from, are challenged by our mothers, and our sisters, and our females. Let's just give our mamas a hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, I know we got to dismiss quickly, is that right?
Oh no, we good.
Is that right? Because I don't want to take too much time now and take away from the give and take, the call and response. So what would you like to do?
I think 3rd of March, you guys get out with 3:45. What about download? 3:45. We good to go then.
3:45. And what time is it now?
It's almost 2:45.
And 2:45 now? Oh, we got good time. Now that food looking so good.
We're going to get a couple minutes.
Oh, all right. All right. But no, of course, I am here because I want to focus on what is going on among our young people. There's so much coming at our precious, priceless young people. Now, I'm not just talking about the police and arbitrary police power. I'll say more about this tonight. But I'm also concerned about the souls of young people. How do you become young brothers and sisters who have confidence in yourself, who respect yourself and others, and learn how to find joy in serving others and helping others? So even in your self-confidence, it does not become arrogance.
That's right.
So in your self-confidence, it doesn't become simply a matter of ego, but it becomes a matter of you being able to become a broader and better blessing to others. The only reason why we are in this room is because somebody loved us very deeply.
That's right. That's right.
Somebody cared for us very deeply. Somebody attended to us very deeply. And we have to choose to keep alive the tradition of loving, caring, and attending to others. And that doesn't mean you don't come to terms with your own skills and your mastery of your craft, your love of reading, your love of learning, your love of science. But we come from a black people that has always said we will be successful in order to be faithful to something bigger than us.
Right, right.
I want each and every one of you to be magnificent success. But I don't want you to stop there. I want you to use that success something bigger. To be faithful to community, faithful to freedom for others, faithful to being a servant to others. And by servant, I don't mean a slave. I mean being a servant in the way that, how many of y'all heard of John Coltrane before?
All right.
Oh, I want the young brothers tonight to go on the internet. I want you to turn on Love Supreme. 50 years ago, 3 days ago, December the 9th, 1964, John Coltrane walked into a studio in Ingalls Cliff in New Jersey and produced a Love Supreme. And that Love Supreme album was not just his album. Maybe Elvin Jones on the drums, maybe Jimmy Garrison on the bass, maybe McCoy Tyner on the piano, and he's on the saxophone, soprano and tenor, but he was speaking on behalf of a people.
Yes, sir.
Sojourner Truth.
Yeah.
Harriet Tubman, A. Philip Randolph, Marcus Garvey, Martin King, Malcolm X, Fannie Lou Hamer, and so many of the nameless black folk who were fundamentally committed to integrity, honesty, decency, telling the truth about ourselves and America and the world. We need to have young brothers and sisters like yourselves who choose to keep that love train going.
That's right.
How many of y'all heard the Isaac brothers from Cincinnati?
All right. Yes, sir.
Right down the road. Another genius there named Bootsy Collins.
No doubt. No doubt.
The Isaac brothers wrote a song called Caravan of Love. Christopher Jasper's the brother-in-law. But they were talking about you and me.
That's right.
Because the tradition that this institution represents, the tradition that Lovelace comes from, West comes from. When I met this brother in Princeton, we connected through Earth, Wind, and Fire. That's the way it works. We connected through the main ingredient.
Yes, sir.
I know y'all might not know the main ingredient because young folk, y'all don't have groups that sing in harmony anymore. You just want those individual isolated solo voices. Together to empower us, so we can believe more deeply in our capacities and our abilities, and so we don't believe the white supremacist stereotypes that come at us from the larger culture. That's what we need. And we want to pass on this tradition to you all. So it's a beautiful thing to me to spend that time looking in the sparkling eyes of these young people for the last, what, hour and a half?
Yes, sir.
Been through all, each and every class, hugged every one of them.
Right. Every one of them.
Because they part of this tradition too, whether they know it or not.
Yes, sir.
And this tradition is not just for us. It's not just for the country, but it's for the whole world. Because you come from a black people who have been hated for 400 years. We taught the world so much about love. Black people who've been treated unjustly for 400 years. We've taught the world so much about justice. And that's why every corner of the globe has to listen to our music, listen to Martin's speeches, listen to the voices. And what is the anthem of black people? Lift every what?
Voice and sing.
Lift every voice. It doesn't say lift every echo, does it?
We're going to die.
Young folk, we're going to work with this.
Yeah, we can work with this.
Every generation has to ensure that you're not just producing echoes rather than voices.
Yes, sir.
What's the difference between an echo and a voice? An echo, everybody can make that noise. A voice, original. Y'all heard of Aretha Franklin, haven't you?
Yes.
She's an original. She found her voice. She wasn't just imitating others. She wasn't just trying to get over to be successful. She had to dig deep in her soul and discover This is what God has put me on earth to do, and if I don't do it, it might not get done. I'm an original. Oh, that's the tradition of black folk. Luther Vandross was an original. Donny Hathaway was an original. Scholars, W.E.B. Du Bois, John Hope Franklin, Anna Julia Cooper, Hortense Spilley, Harold Cruz, Mary Baraka, Gwendolyn Brooks, James Baldwin, Richard Wright, Ralph Waldo Ellison. We can go on and on and on. All of them.
Original. Right.
I want each and every one of you to have the courage to dig deep inside your own soul to be that original. Find your voice. And just like your fingerprint is only yours, your voice is only yours.
That's right.
But you can't find your voice unless you are in conversation with the voices of the dead and the voices of the living. The voices of the dead, the writers. Words, sound. Be in conversation with them to help you find your voice. But then also the voices of the living, each other. Some of the older hoopers. I see the teacher. I got my alpha brother here, though. Are you one of the teachers, my brother? Yes, absolutely. Slightly older brother, but his voice bouncing off against your younger voice. We need that connection between generations so we can learn to more deeply respect each other and correct each other. But most importantly, learn how to love each other, even as we critically engage each other.
That's right.
So I'm not going to go on and on, but I just want to say that I'm just so blessed to be here. And I look forward to the conversation. I want you all to ask me any kind of questions you have on your heart, mind, and soul. Because I'm here to learn and listen too. I'm here to learn and listen. But I don't know how we want to proceed with the
54, 4 plus 54. Yeah, we're ready, Doc. They're going to eat.
We're going to eat and then...
We got one more thing to do, then we're going to see.
Fantastic. All right.
Let's give Dr. West a hand.
What got you to become so successful?
I think for me, I've always wanted to try to have some impact on the world, and try to make it a better place. And any way I could do, I would do that. When I was growing up, I thought I was going to be the next Willie Mays. Because I was one of the greatest athletes of my corner, of my neighborhood. But I love Willie Mays. You know why I love Willie Mays? He was not just the best, but anytime I grew up in California, I would go see him, Candlestick, San Francisco Giants. Anytime I would see him, he was such a lovely human being. He was such a humble person. He would always embrace the young people. I love that about Willie Mays. He was the best on one hand, but he had a heart of gold. A heart of gold. You see what I mean? He wasn't concerned about getting gold. He had a heart of gold. Y'all know the difference? You can have all the gold in the world and have a heart of steel. You're still unhappy. Still empty. Mays always had a smile on his face, but of course he came out of Jim Crow, Alabama. So he knew a lot of suffering. And when I realized I couldn't become a baseball player, I took that same energy and said I want to be a thinker, scholar, intellectual, who makes a difference on that love train I was talking about before. But the important thing is, if you're not on the love train, then all that success is just empty, pounding brass and tinkling cymbals. It doesn't mean that much, because it's too narrow. We keep it that broader tradition. This brilliant brother right here flying these wonderful colleges, though. We'll be part of the same tradition. Is that right, though, brother?
That's exactly right.
All right.
Brother, money already.
Money the man.
Money the man. Same tradition. You can be in sports, you can be a doctor, pharmacist, lawyer, intellectual, jazz musician. You could be a hip hop artist. But there's a qualitative difference between, who would be some of the great ones? Probably my favorite would be Rakim, but I'm old school. And KRS-One. Common. Both common sense and common when you change his name. Then on the other hand, you can be a hip hop artist. All you concerned about is fleeting pleasures, glitz and blitz and gluttony. We won't mention no names. It's so many of them. I love them, don't get me wrong. I had a long talk with Lil Wayne. And I love my brother Lil Wayne. He comes out of the project from New Orleans. But I told him, I said, brother, you've got to use your talent and your genius for something bigger than you. I don't want you to be broke. Have your cash money. Both your money and the enterprise, right? Beautiful. What are you going to do with your life? That's the question. That's the question for every generation, not just your generation. The question for my generation, the question for my father, my grandmother. What are you going to do with your life? What kind of person are you going to be? What kind of human being you choose to be? And so this issue that I was talking about before, always connecting successful with being faithful with something bigger than you. And I have been blessed in my life to have so much love on the one hand and to have certain kind of visibility. And some people say celebrity, but celebrity don't mean nothing if you're not using it for something bigger than you. So I'm a Christian, so I use it for the kingdom, beloved communities. But I mean, we got Islamic brothers and sisters, and Jewish brothers and sisters. We have secular brothers and sisters. God bless them. They find other grand causes it could be. It could be a number of things. Yes.
How do you think the law it will turn out from the laws making it hard for the laws to make let black people vote?
Oh, the voter repression, suppression. Yeah, no, it's wrong. We got to fight it. And I'm so glad you raised that issue because it means we have to be vigilant, meaning we have to forever be ready to engage in intellectual, political combat. Now what is happening right now around the country and the world is what? Massive awakening among young brothers and sisters to do what? What is the first thing you have to conquer in order to do something right? Fear. You got to conquer your fear. As long as they keep you scared and intimidated, you're not going to do nothing. We were down to Ferguson. The first thing we noticed was these young brothers and sisters remind us, Brother Horace, what we were like in the 60s and 80s, the 60s and 70s. Yes. We had a wave of black people that was what? We wasn't scared at all. Martin Luther King Jr. was not what? Scared. How come he wasn't scared? He had love. When you have love, you ain't scared. You love your mama, somebody mess with your mama, you ain't scared to go at them. Because you love her so. You got young people, you love your young folks, you're not scared to go at them. But if you ain't got no love inside of you, you ain't got no juice to work with. So all you got is fear. You see? Anytime black love goes up, black fear goes down.
That's right.
When the black love is down, the black fear is up. When black fear is up, what happens? Black folk catch more hell. Y'all see what I'm saying? Now it sounds simple, but don't confuse the simple with the simplistic. Fundamental things can be simple. Simplistic things, childish, let it go. Because life can be subtle and difficult and complicated, but there's simple truths about courage, love, integrity, honesty, decency. When black integrity is up, black love is up, black fear is down, black dishonesty is down. And the travel of your generation is that you all have been taught for over 35 or 40 years
that so much of life is primarily about material possession. Two things: be smart and have dollars. Whereas black people, we were taught to be wise, not just smart. To have courage, not just chase dollars. Brother Lovelace could be a millionaire right now. Look what he's doing. I mean, I know he's got some cash flow, but he can't be making too much money. He can't make too much money. He's here because of his commitment to the young people. He's loving the young folk. Bro, every Negro I know who went to Princeton right now is a multi-millionaire.
That's right.
When they invite me to their cribs, I look at the mansion, and I say, can we have prayer, please? I want to pray for the quality of the souls of the folk in this huge mansion. I ain't got nothing against mansions. It can be a beautiful thing. I ain't got nothing against folk who have a lot of money. I've been to Jay-Z's house many times. And I'm so glad. I said, brother, you come from Marcy Project. Now you're living way up on the 70-something floor of 59th Street, on 59th Street in Columbus Circle. Barbara Streisand right next door.
That's what you went to my school.
Barbara Streisand did?
Yes.
Erasmus?
Yes. I went to-
Brooklyn?
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
shit, I'm standing up. I didn't know we had somebody from Brooklyn in the house.
That's right.
The greatest borough in the world. The greatest borough in the world.
That's right.
But I tell Brother Jay-Z, I said, brother, I salute you. I celebrate your success. Always let me know what you're faithful to. Don't sell your soul for a mess of pottage. Just to be smart and have a lot of dollars. You want to be wise and have integrity, so when they put you in the coffin at your funeral, they're not going to talk about how big your house was. They're not going to talk about how much money you had. Malcolm X only had $151 in his pocket. That's all he owned when they shot him at Audubon. When they killed Martin, Martin didn't have money for his life insurance for his kids. Who they talking about now? Malcolm. Who was the richest man in New York City in 1965, black or white? Nobody cared. But they still talking about Malcolm. They're going to talk about Fannie Lou. They're going to talk about a whole host of folks who opted for integrity, honesty, decency, and tried to make the world a better place. And this is true for our grandmothers and grandfathers. The world might not know. We know about them. That's right. And we carry their lives in our own life, their afterlife in our life, because they help shape us. Stay on that love train, you see. And all the young folk now, not just in Ferguson, Staten Island, but all 50 states, they've had protests. And they led by young black folk. That's the beautiful thing about it. That's the beautiful thing. That's what I'm putting pressure on Sharpton. Get out of the way, Negro.
That's right. Let them do it.
Let the young folk through.
Yes, sir. That's right.
It's true.
That's right.
Ella Baker had to say the same thing to SCLC.
That's right. Get out the way.
SNCC is going to Mississippi with a freedom ride. SCLC said, no, hold them back. No, these young people got their own ideas. Just pray for them and protect them and correct them. They got them, they moved in their own direction. Now, Ella Baker was for the older generation, but she had a young heart.
That's right.
And she had a lot of love in her. So it's that kind of moment that we're living in. And it is a magnificent moment. I'm going to have a short answer, too. I saw a hand over here. I thought I saw a hand over
Right here.
Oh, yes, sir.
What is your thoughts and feelings about the recent activities with the police that's been going on in the community?
Oh, yes, we had this, you see some of the folks got now in the first. But the important thing to keep in mind is that every 28 hours, a precious young brother and sister shot by police or security guard. So 1 year ago, the exact same thing was happening. It's happening now in terms of deaths. 2 years ago, same thing was happening without the protest. So Ferguson was a moment in which this thing that's been happening for so long gained national spotlight and now international spotlight. And that's a beautiful thing, but it's systematic, it's chronic. And until we have serious, not just conversation, people say, oh, we need to have a conversation on race. No. We need to have dialogue that leads toward policy.
Right.
That's right.
I mean, I put pressure on the Obama administration. Why? Because for 5.5 years, every 28 hours, you got a young black brother shot. How come we haven't had a federal prosecution?
Right.
You got a black attorney general, you got a black secretary of Homeland Security, you got a black president, you got young black brothers shot for 6 years, and we can't have one federal prosecution of a white policeman killing Jamal.
Come on.
What are we talking about here? You can try. Of course, you always got, right? But we've had not one prosecution. We've hardly had an investigation. Tell you about Mark, we didn't have an investigation. So no one person or one group can do everything, but they have to do relative to their context. So you got to start sending police to jail 20, 30, 40 years if you shoot young folks. It changes their behavior. That's not everything. That's very important. You have to have accountability of the police, which means you have to have civilian boards. The cameras are wonderful. They had a camera for Eric Gardner.
That's right.
They'll let him off.
That's right. That's right.
Right? So they're good, but it's not enough.
That's right.
Not enough. Another way of putting it is, you look for example, you remember what happened with the Ukraine about a year ago? They had a crisis in the Ukraine. Within 3 days, they generated hundreds of millions of dollars. Went straight to the Ukraine. Now, how could the Ukraine be more of a crisis than the killing of young
That's right. That's right.
black children?
Come on.
That's right.
Priorities. So you had to put pressure. Had to put pressure. Our Latino brothers and sisters, they kept putting pressure. And they got some of what they wanted. Based on principle. I'm talking about this principle. It's about trying to alleviate suffering. Whoever it is, I'm a Christian. I believe all of us have the same value. I don't care what color we are. But I highlight suffering on the chocolate side of town.
That's right.
I'm a Jesus loving black man. Doesn't mean I hate white folk. White brothers are not my major priority. I get to them, but I don't start there. Just like I start with my mom. I ain't got nothing against white sisters. My mom's a black sister. I start with her. I'm gonna take her first. Oh, you got something against Miss McGillicuddy? No, I get to you later. I got Miss West right now. See what I'm saying? Now, if all I was talking about was black folk, that's a little too narrow. I wasn't raised like that. Across the board.
Right.
Here.
That's what they do. My brother.
Do you think being a young black male is an advantage or a disadvantage in the society today?
That's a wonderful question, brother. That's a profound question.
Yes, it is.
It's a profound question. There's no way under God's heaven that the powers that be would not know deep down in their hearts just how powerful black young people are, given the fact that they target black folk in such negative ways. You wouldn't get that much attention, even though it's negative attention to the police and all the stereotypes and so forth. We wouldn't get that much attention if people didn't think that you had a lot of power and potential. I've taught in prison now for 37 years. Every Friday night, I'm missing tonight actually, every Friday night at Rawway. I have 150 brothers. Teach philosophy. Plato, Augusta, Toni Morrison, James Baldwin, Lorraine Hansberry. Some of the most brilliant brothers in the country. People know their potential. They know their intelligence and imagination when they choose to cultivate it. As young brothers, you got to choose to cultivate it. But in choosing to cultivate it, it's very clear that, how should I put it? It's very clear that when you choose to be great, people are going to keep track of you. Because you'll be a threat to lies and crimes. Remember what Garvey used to say? The world has made being black a crime intend to make it a virtue.
Mhm.
What does that mean? That means, Lord, if they targeted black people like that, slavery for 244 years, it sounds sick, but it's almost a compliment. If these folk are free, we in a world of trouble.
Mhm.
Because we got an unjust order, and they about justice. Hear me? We about hating these folk. They about love.
Mhm.
If they free, we in a world of trouble. Things turn upside down. And that's what the folk, think of it this way. One of the reasons why Nelson Mandela and Martin Luther King Jr. are so loved by white brothers and sisters is because they felt that Nelson Mandela and Martin Luther King Jr. would lead movements that would resemble what they would do if they had been terrorized, traumatized, and stigmatized for 400 years.
Mhm.
So when Mandela came out of jail, they're thinking, oh Lord, it's over now. They all gonna kill us because we've been treating them like dogs.
Mhm.
And he said, no, we're not gonna treat you like a dog, we're gonna treat you like a human being.
Mhm.
Then they left him.
Mhm.
But what they missed about Mandela was what? He didn't go to jail for 27 and a half years because he loved white brothers and sisters. And I wasn't about them. He went to jail because he loved black people and he hated white supremacy. Same way Martin. Martin loved us, white brothers and sisters. Well, no, he didn't love you first. He loved black people first. He's a love warrior that begins on the black side.
Absolutely.
He just chose not to treat you the way you treated him and the others.
Right.
Now, what does that mean? That means a recognition of unbelievable greatness, dignity as black youth, if you choose to cultivate your intelligence, your imagination, your love and compassion. What mainstream loves to see is young black brothers who do succeed and then, what would be the right word, become peacocks. Look at me, look at me. Look how smart I am. Look how much money I got. You can hear your grandmama saying peacocks strut because they can't fly.
Come on, come on.
You can't get off the ground. Because when you fly like eagles, you're concerned about who's on the ground.
That's right.
You're not just breaking the glass ceiling, but you connected to the folk in the basement. It's so easy for the mainstream to be obsessed with the folk in the grass. We saw that in Princeton all the time. You see, oh, look at these brilliant black folk in Princeton, Harvard, Yale. And it's true. It's true. But see, for a lot of people, brilliant black folk is such a breakthrough. We shouldn't be surprised to see black brilliance. It's a normal thing.
That's right.
Black folk always been brilliant. If they chose to do so, worked hard, disciplined, read, studied, and so forth. But for the white mainstream, it's almost an anomaly. Meet a black man, oh, did you talk to Ray Ray? He's just so articulate. Why are you surprised? Grew up with eloquent Negro. Sometimes you have to tell him to stop talking. If he's too eloquent, you can't take it. You can't take it. But I hope you saw my point in terms of the fear that people have when you work hard, play hard, love hard, come together, organize, straighten your backs up, and have dignity. And have dignity. Yes, my dear brother.
Do you feel as African Americans have made any advancements since the 1960s, or do you think we're still in the same position we were back then?
No, I think we've made some significant advancements since 1960. There's no doubt about that. All the struggles in the last 50 years have not been in vain. Not at all. But the way history often operates, my brother, sometimes it makes 4 steps forward and then you get a backlash. 2 steps back. There's another 3 steps forward, 1 step back. The
then it becomes relative to particular parts of the community. In terms of the opportunities, especially for those who have chosen education, that, you know, our dear brother Barack Obama, my grandmother would never have conceived of a black man in a White House, which is primarily built by black slaves. A black man in a White House. That is unbelievable progress. There's no doubt. And I'll just use him as one example because he's the best example we have to the highest level in the country. No doubt about that. Then you say, but you've got 3 steps back. Yes, we do. Why? Because 1970 we had 350,000 in the prisons. Today we got 2.3 million. Black folk, almost 1 out of 2 in the prison. In the 1970s we had more young people who were going to schools where you had much more of an emphasis on them. Whereas in America today, you know, rich kids get taught, poor kids get tested. So that for the precious poor kids, it's hard for them to get a full-fledged education. Now, if you got a lot of money, sit them in school, then they're going to get educated. So that's a step backwards. So we end up with we got a black middle class and a black upper class that is much bigger now than it's ever been.
That's right.
Then we got our person black poor, black working class, catching more hell than they have for a long time. So you got both realities at the same time. And you have to tell the truth about both sides. You have to tell the truth about both sides. That we've got our precious, priceless Jack and Jill brothers and sisters. I love them to death. They don't live in the same world oftentimes as folk in the hood. They can still get pulled over by the police now. That's right. So you don't live in the same world. And I tell you this, that if my precious Jack and Jill brothers and sisters were going to prison the same way that the black poor were, we'd have a different kind of black leadership.
That's right.
When I came along with Shiloh Baptist Church, I'm going to say something tonight about my legendary Pastor Willie P. Cook. That brother, his prison ministry had more money than his building fund. How many churches today, black churches in America, have more money in their prison ministry than in their building fund? Y'all pointed out to me, I'm still looking. There's some out there, but not too many. Because we had quality leadership in the church that I grew up in. Now, this ain't the same in every church. I was just blessed to grow up in Shiloh. Quality leadership, set a high standard. Willie P. Cook loved the people. He loved his people. Didn't have any anniversary parties for him. Wouldn't allow the people to have a parsonage for him. Drove a VW his whole, I wouldn't call it career, his whole calling. Because he loved the Lord. That's high quality. Just like John Coltrane's quartet. I mentioned already Love Supreme 50th anniversary. They asked a question, he said, McCoy, how much money did Coltrane and you agree on? He said, we never talked about money. John Coltrane. We talked about the music. And I received more money in the John Coltrane Quartet than I did in any other band. But we didn't talk about money. Because John Coltrane was about something else. See what I mean? He's about something else. Curtis Mayfield was the same way. Y'all folks know Curtis Mayfield, right?
Right, that's what I said.
No thing on me. I'm so glad I got my own. So glad that I can see my life is a natural high. The man can't put no thing on me. It's a natural high. Curtis, what is your natural high? Serving the people, telling the truth, having fun, joy, not pleasure now. Your generation is about pleasure. That's fleeting, that's thin, sensational. You gotta find joy in life. Y'all see the difference? Like the athletes. See, when you all win the championship, that's not pleasure. Joy is always connected to something bigger than you. The whole team gonna celebrate together. And you're gonna remember that for the rest of your life.
Now, whatever pleasure you can get into that's individual, we won't go into it. I'm not going to have some personal testimony. You're going to forget about that pretty quick. Joy is something else. Black folk at our best, we're joyful people. Not just obsessed with pleasure. That has not been the rest of our history. See, when your parents bring you up, that's not about pleasure, because it's difficult raising folk. But it's about great joy to see you grow up with dignity, giving all their sacrifice and love, blood, sweat, and tears. You all know what it is with parents, right? Absolutely. So when your precious mother looks at you, she sees joy. When she sees tears, that's tears of joy, my brother. That's not no pleasure. Because she's loving you. And love is tied to joy. Y'all know Freaky Babylon. He didn't say pleasure playing. What did he say? Joy. Joy. And pain. It's like sunshine and rain. No, we got to learn from our artists. They're profound. They're profound. I mean, look at Dayton. How did it come to be that Dayton became the funk music capital of the world? Somebody needs to write a dissertation on that. There's the reason. Lakeside, Slade, Ohio Players. Remember Heat Wave? Woo! Showing up must be love. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, I'm telling you. Boogie Nights, they can do what you do some mind-blowing decisions. All this head-on collision. Discipline. They played the instruments magnificently. They sang from their soul, and they connected it to the tradition. My dear brother.
Why do you think Martin Luther King Jr. wanted to interrogate us into a burning house?
Yeah, it's a wonderful question. You raised that question at Harry Belafonte's house 3 days before they shot him dead in Memphis. Brother Harry, I think we're integrating into a burning house. We got to add the latter part of what he said, though. Brother Harry said, "What do we do, Brother Martin?" And I'm blessed to break bread with Brother Harry Belafonte every 3 weeks. He's now 88 years old, strong.
Yeah.
Every week we talk to the Ferguson leadership of young black leaders in Harry's office. Every week, back and forth, back and forth. So he's still strong. So Brother Harry said, "Brother Martin, Harry's the one who played life insurance for the kids. That's another footnote, very important. Friendship, deep friendship. Harry got cash. He still got cash. He said, "Martin, what do we do?" Martin said, "We got to become firemen, firewomen." That was the response. How do you become firemen and firewomen in a burning house? And the fire in the burning house is different than the fire that motivates the firemen and the firewomen. Brother Martin's a love warrior too. He had prophetic fire. Prophetic fire is hypersensitivity to the suffering of others. You hate the fact they're being treated unjustly because you love them. So he goes into the burning house, try to put the fire out.
Excuses interruption. Tavion Booker, if you're in the building, come to the main office. Tavion Booker.
Now, she got a nice voice, doesn't she? What's her name, brother? God bless her, God bless her, God bless her. But what he was saying was, you don't want to lose sight of the context that is interested in incorporating you. That does not mean you still don't want to be better and you don't want more resources and so forth, but you have to be cognizant of what you're getting into because it has its own blindnesses and seduction and temptation, and you can lose your soul. I mean, look at probably who's the greatest entertainer of the 20th century? Little Negro born in Gary, Indiana.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. He wasn't the best singer. Wasn't even the best dancer. James Brown still better. James Brown was his model. But Michael brought it all together. Brother singing Who's Loving You when he's 11 years old, and Smokey Robinson said, I didn't even realize I wrote a song like that. That's Michael, he's a genius. But what did he name his house? Neverland. Where does that come from? Peter Pan. What is about Peter Pan? Never grow up. What else about Peter Pan? Never wants to be touched. One of the things that has fundamentally got black folk through all the hell we've been in for 400 years is that we like to touch each other. That's a form of empowerment. Because our body's been so degraded, viewed with disgust. We got to touch each other. You got a whole generation now that go through touchlessness. Y'all sneak in on some of the nightclubs of the young folk. Y'all ain't slow dance no more. What did we go to the dances for if we're not going to slow dance? Come on now. Hey. Not only that, we wait until Stay in Our Corner comes on. That's 7 minutes rather than go 3 minutes. But touching is very important. We in our black churches, the deaconess and the deacons touch the kids because it's a certain kind of, it's not just contact. You see, one of the most fundamental things in the history of black people is the history of intimacy. There's no intimacy without vulnerability. There's no vulnerability without Otis Redding saying, try a little. That's different than say my name, isn't it? Qualitative difference. Qualitative difference. Babyface was a song called Romy. What was the adjective? Tenderoni. You remember that song?
Bobby Brown.
Bobby Brown. Tenderness. The younger generation, you all, working hard, intellectual development, critical imagination, but also trying to learn how to be intimate in a tender way. In a tender way. And part of the spiritual war on young people these days is that they're trying to rob you all of how you learn how to be intimate and tender. Look at the music of young folk. You know, the same companies own the radio industry, the video, and the recording, and live performance. The same 5 companies. So the very music you have access to, it doesn't have that rich, deep music with story and narrative that has to do with vulnerability. There's a genius born, Why Not, Mississippi. His name was David Ruffin. You all know David Ruffin? One of the greatest voices of the 20th century. Oh, he was tender, but he could be tough. He said, ain't too proud to beg. It wasn't just entertainment. It wasn't just entertainment. He was talking about how can a people who've been so hated still learn how to love in such a way that they're tender with one another and vulnerable with one another. Because when you're vulnerable to another person, what does that mean? You've already assumed their humanity. That's why the system is not tender to our young brothers. Because they've already criminalized our young brothers. You don't treat criminals tender. Trayvon was already criminalized before he was murdered.
That's right.
Same was true for Brother Michael, across the board. But then the question becomes, how do we become tender with each other? Our friendships, our companionships. And this is very much a part of the the struggle. I mean, as a Christian, if you're going to get on the battlefield, take seriously Ephesians 6, put on that full armor. He's not talking about bullets. We're talking about how do you, as a human being, make your move from womb to tomb in such a way that you can bring together your mind sharp and wise, and your spirit tender, and your political engagement, truth telling, and willing to serve. And in the end, of course, some of us have to be willing to die. That's not true for everybody. But you can't have a movement if you have folk who are not willing to die. You just can't have a movement. And nobody gonna die for somebody they don't love. The only thing that's gonna lead you to die, you're gonna have to love deeply. And that's why we love Martin. Black Panther Party, you got Martin picture on the wall. How Black Panther Party got Martin King picture on the wall? They revolutionary folk, and he's nonviolent. They know he loved them. He died for them. Put it up there. One last question. Yeah, my brother. I like your fro too. Oh, we want to take one last picture.
Both high school third grade and down. I want to take a picture.
Yeah.
For about 2 or 3 minutes, Brother Vaughn?
2 or 3 minutes. About 2 or 3 minutes.
They got dismissed.
Is it a real quick question, brother? We can do it while we kind of just slowly walking out. What is it?
What is your view on our education system as we learn information and teach us more about whites and less about blacks?
Yeah, well, one is, so the first thing in education is you want to learn how to think critically. You want to learn how to ensure that you connect finding joy in thinking critically. Then you want to be able to learn about the world, including your own context. Black context, white, red, yellow, across the board. Nothing human alien to us, but it can't just be other contexts and not our own. It can't just be other traditions and not our own. But most importantly is that thinking critically. And this is a part of the criticism I was talking about in terms of testing. If you're just educating based on tests, it's hard to generate critical orientation. But I know we will take a picture with these.
You gotta have knowledge for life. You gotta have